Plaintiffs Frank and Jacqueline Hill are suing their former friend, Christopher Hamilton, for property they claim Christopher's friend stole from their home. Frank says he and Christopher were extremely close until the defendant started acting like a single white female and mimicking his every move. Christopher says he has no idea if his friend stole the plaintiff's property, but he had nothing to do with it.
Frank Hill and Jacqueline Hill are suing their former friend, Christopher Hamilton, for stolen property and emotional distress. How are we today?
All right.
And yourself?
Good, good. Why are you suing, Frank? And Jacqueline, what's your relationship?
Frank's mother.
Okay. All right, good. Are you two related?
No, see, that's that's part of our case.
Oh, okay.
Also.
Go ahead. Talk to me, Frank.
Well, it starts, me and Chris met through a cousin, his cousin. Me and his cousin went to school together. A couple years later, me and Chris, started going to school together also.
Okay.
So since then, we've been like the best of friends, attached at the hip, like inseparable. And my mom accepts us with open arms, and family looks for him.
So they adopted you almost.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically.
Has he ever actually lived with you and your mom?
Not necessarily. He just stays with us for long periods of time, I would say.
Right.
On this one occasion, he had a discussion with my mom that I was totally unaware of until the next morning, that he, was going through, wanted to have a friend over or so. But before we get into that, let me tell you a little more about Chris. Since you did bring up the comment about him looking like me, that's also something being said.
Yeah, I thought you might be
quite
cousins.
a lot. Right, quite a lot around everywhere we go. Are you related? Are you twins? Are you brothers? And everything like that. It started from like when we first met. I've lost like 100 pounds, and we were both bigger at the same time, basically. As I lost the weight, he proceeded to lose the weight too. This new haircut that just happened, he's had a ponytail just like me for the past few years. But I also have a picture that can show you that he looks just like me, has been looking like me, and this is something
That's
new
a lie.
to you, America,
You look
and
like him
everyone
today.
else. Thank you. Even with
And
the
you
haircut,
look like him
you
here.
look just like
Is this
me.
the two of you again?
Exactly. Thank
You
you.
were both heavier here.
Exactly.
Do you think that Christopher, in emulating you, which is your version, in copying you, wants to be more than friends?
That has been stated. I never really thought that, but a lot of mutual friends. That's always come. That's why it's called the single white female syndrome that he has, or whatever. Because it's
Would you say you have
always
a single
something.
white female syndrome?
Never. No.
All right, why are you suing him, Frank?
Well, on the night in question, which was like mid-November of this past year, he had a conversation with my mom about him having company over, which I was totally unaware of.
Jacqueline, tell me what the conversation was.
Okay, Chris comes into my bedroom and he starts with, "Ma, you know I love you." I'm like, okay, so what do you want, Chris? He said, well, Ma, I would like for my friend to come and spend the night. And also, Ma, we're going to drop Frank off at school. I said, okay. I don't want to do this, Chris, but we'll go ahead and we'll do it this time. Okay, so I get up in the morning the next day, go ahead and prepare to work. I noticed them, but I didn't go and totally look.
Where did they sleep?
In the living room. So for some reason, I called Frank and I asked him, I said, well, where are you? He said, I'm on the bus on the way to school. I'm like, well, weren't Chris and his friend going to take you to school? He said, well, Ma, I didn't know anything about that. So now...
So, Frank, you didn't know that Chris was sleeping over with his friend?
No, I was totally unaware because I'm a stylist. I was up late doing hair that evening, and I came in pretty late that evening. I went basically straight to bed.
So you went from the door of the garage right to bed?
Exactly. I came in the door, I changed my clothes, and I got into bed for the evening.
What is the name of the other guy that you brought to their house?
Sean.
Sean. All right. So you and Sean stay and sleep in the living room?
Yes.
So what's the issue?
It was like, I asked Chris about, I said, well, go get the $10 and do this, that, and the other. And he says, well, it's not there. I'm like, well, I know it was there when I left this morning. So I'm like, well, okay, it's only $10, it's nothing. And so the next morning, her boyfriend comes in there and says, Frank, can you come in here? So I go in there, he pulls out all these empty boxes up from his cologne gift sets, which he had bought him or whatever. So all of his cologne was gone. And then like the next day I had to go to court. And I also have that showing I had to go to court that day. And that's why I was looking for my other 40.
Why'd you have to go to court?
Because I have, with the insurance thing, I'm paying tickets on insurance. So I go look for the $40 to make my payment for court that day. And it's gone. By that time, it was a couple days later, Chris was already gone to Indiana. And then maybe the next couple of days or so went past. It was the weekend by that time. Her boyfriend, it was his day off. And he goes to put on his brand new pair of shoes. He had just bought 3 new pair of shoes the weekend prior. And they had came up missing. He like, well, where's my shoes? Like, don't nobody in the house got his shoe size, so.
So stuff is missing.
Exactly.
How much stuff is missing? We got the shoes,
the
the
two
cologne, and
gift sets, the cash, and the 2 pair of shoes.
Okay, and what's your boyfriend's name?
Barrett Smith.
Barrett, and what size shoes does he wear?
12.
12. What size do you wear?
I have a 14.
What size do you wear?
11 and a half.
Okay, let's see it. Is Sean a big guy or not a big guy?
These are also the receipts.
Yeah, Frank, is Sean a big guy?
I don't know who he is, never seen him, don't know anything about
Sean
him.
a big guy?
No.
When it was asked...
How long did you know Sean before you brought him to their house?
I've known him for a year now. It just made a year in September.
Okay, and Frank is denying that he ever met Sean. Was there a time before the last time that he stayed with Frank and Jacqueline that they had ever met him?
No.
But if you guys are so close, how come he wouldn't know someone that you'd know?
Because I have my separate reasons of why I don't wish. For a long time, I had stopped bringing company over to the house, just for personal reasons. Because I don't trust him.
You don't trust him?
No.
What do you think he's going to do?
Well, I've had, I went through complications with, finding out that he's talked to someone that I've talked to afterwards and things like that. So therefore, I just cut it in the door. Every time I wanted to see someone, I was going with them. I wouldn't bring them to the house.
Well, first of all, Chris is a guest in my house. Okay, so therefore Chris shouldn't, it's okay you come and you hang out with everybody, but Chris shouldn't necessarily have his company at my house.
Right, except that you told him it was okay.
Except I did let him do it this time.
Yep. Why did you bring Sean to the house?
Because we were leaving to go to Indiana the next day.
Did you go to Indiana the next day?
I did. He didn't.
Why not?
Because he ended up having to work or something like that.
Well, didn't he know he had to work the night before when you used that as a reason to bring him to Jacqueline's house?
Yes, but he got called in at 11 o'clock and had to fill in for someone else's shift from 2 to 10.
What time did you leave to go to Indiana?
I didn't leave till 5:45.
5:45?
Yes, that night. But he was gone earlier that day, like right after the phone call.
Do you feel some obligation that these nice people have taken you into their home, and I don't think there's any denial that they're nice people, have suffered a loss of shoes, cologne, and cash from their home? With a stranger brought it. Let me finish. Okay. With a stranger brought into their home by you?
No.
Do you think for 1 minute that he may have taken it?
I don't think Chris personally took the items, but I believe whoever he let in my house.
I think you let this guy into the house, Christopher, under the guise of we're going together to Indiana, and I don't believe this last minute hogwash about how he had to go to work. For whatever reason, you let him in the house, and they haven't seen him, and they're missing some items. I don't think there's any question that they're missing items. Okay, so unless the house was broken into, somebody took them. The issue is, should you be held responsible for this?
No, because when I asked her...
Did you call Sean and say, look, I brought you into this house of my friend. Let me ask a question. Of my friends who were nice enough to let us stay, and now they're missing items, cough this stuff up. Did you ask him?
I have asked him, and he said he never took anything. And when he left out, he left in just a small coat. Like he came in, he didn't leave out with any bags. I didn't have any, any reason to think that he would come in there and steal.
If the stuff is gone, he took the stuff. The issue is, did you know it? Did you see him take it? Did he admit it to you after the fact? Did you share in any of the goods?
No. And I have voicemail stating from her that she took the blame. And I have the transcript.
Let's hear the voicemail.
I just wanted to give you something to think about today. I know you know that I am taking the blame for everything that's happened, for allowing you to, first of all, allowing you to spend the night, and then allowing you to have friends. So when you took advantage of me on that situation.
Okay, let me tell you why that just boomeranged on you. Because what happened was Jacqueline said, I'm taking the blame in my family because I allowed you, Christopher, to bring a stranger into my house. If anything, that corroborates that clearly stuff was missing. She believes it was your friend who stole the stuff and that she wants it back. Now, there's no question in my mind that stuff is missing. Nobody's making this up. And at the end of the day, they truly believe your friend took it. She doesn't think you took it. She thinks your friend took it. Here's the problem, Jacqueline. The problem is that if his friend took it, that doesn't make him responsible for it because I haven't heard any evidence that he knew his friend took it. I have no reason to believe that he was a part of it, that he conspired to do it, that he shared in the goods or anything else. And I have no reason to believe that there isn't but the best of friendship between the two of these guys and that the relationship has been somewhat fractured as a result of this. Look, it's a shame, but you brought the evil into the house that took their goods. There is nothing more precious than stuff in your own house. And when a stranger comes in, that you allowed to come in because they feel so strongly about you and takes their stuff, they have a reason to be mad. They really do. And you're very lucky because legally, I cannot hold you responsible. I haven't heard one iota of evidence that suggests that you knew about it or shared in the goods. But I think that what you need to do, Christopher, is go out of your way and make sure that you do whatever you can to get them their money. They didn't deserve it. She's been like a mother to you. They've been very good to you. And whatever way you emulate, whether you want to be like Frank, I don't know what the deal is. There's nothing wrong with it. There is nothing wrong with it. But you brought the evil into their house. You're responsible. I can't make you legally responsible, but you're morally responsible. And the strength of this relationship is such that you should want to do everything in your power to get that stuff back. Case dismissed.